Could Richard Madden be Superman? Because he basically is, as the Eternals in this film, but he would make a good Superman.
A 1, 2, 3, 4!
Yes, another Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Hey, film lovers and Marvel Cinematic Universe fans. Welcome to Mr. Teach Film Preach, and if you're a lover of films like I am, and if you learn from films as much as I do, then you are perhaps in the right place. And if you feel like you're in the right place, great. Click like down below and subscribe to my channel. Also, I would love to hear your comments. What did you guys think of the MCU's Eternals? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was creative, or did you think it was a flop? Also, if you want to check out some of my other films from 2021 that I've reviewed so far, check out that playlist right up there. Today we are talking about the 2021 Marvel Cinematic Universe film, Eternals. Written and directed by Chloe Zhao, who had just come off of her Academy Award winning film, Nomadland, where she won Best Director, where she won Best Picture, and her next film that comes out is Eternals. Eternals is about a group of beings who have been on planet Earth for a very long time, for thousands of years, as they've watched the Earth grow and people change and develop and become better or sometimes worse, as the movie points out. And these protectors, these super beings, have been sent to Earth to get rid of Deviants. They're these sort of like demon monsters. So they witness all the crazy, terrible things that humanity does to themselves, all the wars they can't get involved in. First of all, this film takes a really big risk. It does a great job of doing something extremely different than what the MCU has done thus far.
How long do we have?
7 days.
You're gonna die in 7 days.
It is extremely different from the conventional MCU feeder where everything feels copied from each other, or there's a certain template that this story has to tell. Eternals doesn't do that. It actually changes how the story is told. Whose perspectives are we telling it from? It focuses much more on the characters, the relationships, and not so much about building this story into the overall general Marvel Cinematic Universe. That is all Chloe Zhao. I've been asking for this for a very long time. I've wanted a different movie. This is also an origin story, but feels and looks and is executed very differently than the rest of the MCU up to this date. You know, she didn't want all CGI and green screen. She was very adamant on filming in real places, in real locations, having these gorgeous outdoor shots. I think most of this movie is outside, in the woods, on the beach, in space. I guess that's not outside. Is it outside? Is space outside? There's all these really cool locations that they go to. All these different timelines, these different moments in history. Characters experience humanity, fall in love with humanity, hate humanity, if humanity's even worth saving, what it is to be human, and what is our story, the purpose of being here. There's all these huge ideas floating in this movie. Let's feel a little Nomadland in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with all the different outdoor scenic shots that she has. I was like, yeah, they definitely saw Nomadland and we're like, we're hiring her and we want you to do that in a Marvel Cinematic Universe film. That's not bad, I'm just saying it's funny. Second of all, the cast is stunning. Of course, you got Richard Madden, Salma Hayek, Kumail Nanjiani, Angelina Jolie, Gemma Chan, lots of cast members, lots of different characters, but it solely focuses on our group of Eternals, which I thought was really smart. Kumail Nanjiani is the standout in this film. I thought he was hilarious, did a great performance. I really felt for him. There was so many great comedic timing. He was fantastic. Actually, all the Eternals I thought were great. All the actors did a great job. I got to know each character fairly well and see the different relationships between all the Eternals. I felt really connected to like 5 or 6 of these characters, and that's hard to do, especially in a superhero genre film like this. Seeing the history of humanity through the eyes of the Eternals in this film, I thought was a really cool way to tell this story. There is a sex scene in this film, first one in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, and I thought, I don't know. With the MCU film, there's a certain level of that this is for kids, and this felt that this movie wasn't for kids. Was very much for adults. But I love that Chloe Zhao did push the envelope and had a story and characters and a way she wanted to tell it, and it mostly feels like she got to tell her version. Unfortunately, I don't think that this is a perfect film. It is flawed in some ways, and let's talk about those. This film is a little long, 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's a thick beast.
Well, look at me!
And that's because a lot is happening in this film. Maybe too much. I think 1 or 2 more edits of the script would have really trimmed down maybe 15 minutes off of this movie. So much exposition and so much explaining. And every time we were introduced to a new character, we had to go back and see them. And so we can understand why they're important. And then, or vice versa, something would happen to a character and you're like, that sucks. And it's not until much, much later in the film is it revealed to you why that was so important, why that was actually such a big emotional moment in the film. But we don't know that character when that tragic thing or that moment happened. Sometimes it's better to have less than to try and jam-pack something full. There were some things that I would have just cut out of the film altogether. I didn't know who the villain was. At times I was rooting for some people and not for others, and then it would switch and I was rooting for them and I wasn't for others, and there was so much back and forth. It doesn't mean I need an antagonist to be like, I'm a villain, I'm a bad person, I'm gonna get you all. But I want to know what the conflict is. It wasn't really until the last 30 minutes, 40 minutes of the film that I was like, oh, there. Now we're into it. Gotcha. The lead up was so long. It was like an hour and a half lead up just to get into the main conflict of this story. While I also said the visuals were great in this movie, they weren't mind-blowing. I was actually a little let down considering this is Chloe Zhao, this is the MCU. While it looks great and there's some awesome costumes and the CGI is pretty good and there's some decent fight scenes, when you have the ship coming in and hovering over Earth, I should be like, holy man, that is insane. That is gorgeous. Instead, I was more like, cool. It should have been way more. This could have been a special film. This could have been a top tier level MCU film, but it wasn't. And I just think some of the details of the visual effects, jam-packing the story too heavily, some of the editing choices, some of the things that they decided to focus on, or some of the characters they decided to focus on, it just didn't end up adding up to the best movie. I still enjoyed it. I still thought it was a really great entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I really appreciated the different perspectives of the different characters, the natural filmmaking, or as much as a natural filmmaking that Chloe Zhao was trying to achieve with this film. But it was a little overstuffed. It was a bit too long. I don't know if it's very rewatchable. I just don't think the impact of it had as big of an effect as the creators, Kevin Feige, Chloe Zhao, really wanted it to have on the MCU. Overall, I had a great time. I thought this was a really good introduction to these characters. It was a great film. I think you guys should go check it out. I'm gonna go ahead and give the MCU's Eternals a B+. What did you guys think of Eternals? I would love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Do you agree with my take on it, or do you think I was being a little too harsh? While you're down there, click like and subscribe to my channel. Also, check out my playlist for the 2021 films I've already done. Check out Pig, Shang-Chi, and The Legend of the Ten Rings review right here as well. Thank you so much for watching Mr. Teach Film Preach and joining me today. I so appreciate it. I hope you had a great time. Stay focused, stay awesome, and as always, let's get Todd.